I'm going to share my pattern with you for my napkin. We're going to be casting on and working one segment, binding that segment off, picking up for the next segment and binding that off, and picking up for the next and again. And then when we reach the 5th segment, we're going to pick up and work that, and at the end of each row we're going to join to the cast on edge of the first segment by pulling loose the cast on strand. We'll start with a slip knot, but we're not going to be working the slip knot. It'll be an indicator of which direction we're going on the first segment. I'm going to cast on 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This strand is going to be an indicator. It'll show you which direction you are going. When you're at the strand end, you're going towards the tip. You have the yarn in front and slip the first stitch and bring the yarn to the back, and then knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then on the 6th one we're going to knit front and back to increase by 1. Knit in the front and the back of this one stitch, and then knit 1. And here in the first row with the cast on loop, we're going to drop that and we're not going to work it. It will also be an indicator of direction. Let me clarify that. Strand, center. And over here we have the point, and on a heart monitor, when a heartbeat goes, it goes boop, boop. So the point, I'm calling that the boop because it rhymes with loop, and there's the loop. So the loop will let you know that you're on the boop portion of the pattern. And we're going into row 2 with the yarn in front. Slip 1 stitch and place your yarn in the back and knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we shall go into our 3rd row, and here we have the strand. So this is the center. We're going from the center to the point. Yarn in front, slip 1, yarn in back, and then we're going to knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to knit front and back in this next stitch to increase by 1. And we go front and back, and then we're going to knit the last stitch and turn around. And we're at the loop part, so we're at the boop end of the work, and we're going to do row 4 with the yarn in front. We slip the first stitch and put the yarn in back and knit 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're at the strand, we're at the center, and we're working our way to the tip again. And this is row 5 with the yarn in front. Slip the first stitch, put the yarn back, knit 2 together, and then knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then knit front and back in this stitch here to increase by 1. We decreased by 1 at the beginning, and we're increasing by 1 at the end here. This was a 2 together, and this was a knit front and back. So our stitch count has remained the same. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We have 10 stitches, and it'll have 10 for the rest of this segment. And then rows 6 through 13, we're going to repeat row 4 and 5 4 more times to get 7 garter ribs. Here's the rib here. That's the first rib, and that's the second rib and the third rib. We need 7, so we're going to do this 4 more times. With the yarn in front, slip that stitch. We're going from the loop, and so this is the point, so we're just going to knit all the way down to the center. Every single row has a slipped stitch with the yarn forward to start. There we go. That was row 4. And then we're going to do row 5 again. With the yarn in front, we're at the center going towards the point. Yarn in front, slip your stitch, knit 2 together to decrease by 1, and then we're going to knit 5. And then with 2 stitches left, we're going to knit in front and back on that 1 there, and then knit 1. So now we have 4 ridges. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 3 more. And we're at the loop end. This is the point, and we don't do any shaping here. We slip the first stitch and knit the rest. This is row 4 again. And then we repeat row 5. This is the strand we're working from the center. Yarn in front, slip 1, knit 2 together, knit 5, knit front and back, knit 1, and then we turn, and here's the loop, here's the boop, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ridges. We need 2 more. So yarn front, slip, yarn back, knit 9. This is row 4 being repeated. Turn around. Here we are at the center. Here's the strand. Here's the center. When we're at the center, we do the shaping. Yarn forward, slip 1, knit 2 together, knit 5. This is row 5 being repeated. Knit front and back, knit 1. And we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ridges. We need 1 more. Yarn front, slip 1, yarn back, knit 9. This is row 4 being repeated. And then on to row 5. Sorry. Row 5. Yarn front, slip 1, yarn back, knit 2 together, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, front and back, knit 1, And that should give us our 7 ridges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now we're going to bind off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 1 stitch left, and I'm going to continue in the same direction, going this way, and pick up 7. I'm going to put my yarn front and pick up 7 purlwise. We made 7 ridges here, and each ridge has a slip stitch on the side. So if we want to count these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is scrunched up underneath here. So I'm going into the 7th purlwise and picking up a stitch, and then going into the 6th slipped one purlwise, fifth one, 4th one, 3rd one, 2nd one, and the first ever slipped stitch. And then I'm going to turn, and you'll notice here that the strand and the boop are now on the same side of the work. So we'll just focus on the strand now. The boop was helpful for the very first segment. It oriented us. Now it's not so important. And I'm going to repeat the same process I used to make the first segment. I'll show you where we are. Okay, I can feel it. I like to knot my see this picked up here? A strand of chains. That's this one here. And this loop here and the strand indicate that that is the picked up. I mean, not the picked up, the cast on row. Here's the cast on, there's the pickup. So I worked here starting with 8 stitches, increased by 1, and then from here on I kept 10. And I'm going to do it again here, increasing by 1 twice and then doing the rest as 10 stitches. So now we go back into row 1. With the yarn held forward, we slip 1, put the yarn back, and knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, knit front and back, and knit 1, and we'll have 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then with the yarn forward, we do row 2, yarn forward, slip that one and put the yarn back and knit 8. And then the 3rd row, with yarn forward, we slip the first one, yarn back, knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then increase by knitting front and back in this stitch, and knit the next stitch. So we now have our 10. In row 4, yarn forward, slip 1, whoops, yarn back, knit 9, excuse me, and then turn and row 5, yarn forward, slip 1, yarn back, knit 2 together, knit 5, knit front and back, knit 1, and then row 6 through 13 we repeat rows 4 and 5 4 more times, so we get 7 ridges. We have 3 at the moment. 1, 2, 3. Row 4, we're going from the point, the tip, the boop, inward, so we're not doing any shaping. We slip the first one, knit the rest. And that's how we do all of the point to center rows. We slip the first, knit the rest. And all the rows that are going from the center outward have shaping. So here's my strand, this is my center, I'm shaping, which means row 5. Yarn front, slip 1, yarn back and knit 2 together, knit 5, so you've got 2 left, and you knit it front and back in 1 as an increase, and then knit 1. And we'll repeat row 4 and 5 again. Yarn front, slip 1, yarn back, knit the rest. We're going from tip to center, so we're not doing any shaping. Turn around, and there's the sorry, there's the strand. This is the center, so we're shaping. Yarn front, slip 1, yarn back, knit 2 together, knit 5, knit front and back, knit 1, turn, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ridges. We need 2 more. So here we do row 4 again. Slip 1 with yarn forward, knit 9. When we're going from the point, we're not shaping at all. And then we do row 5. Center means shaping. We're at the center side here. Yarn forward, yarn back, 2 together after our slipped 1, and then we do our 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Knit front and back. Knit 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need 1 more. So we're going from the point to the center, so there's no shaping. This is row 4 being repeated. Slip 1, knit 9, turn, And this is the strand. We're at the center, we do the shaping, which is row 5. Yarn front, slip 1, yarn back, knit 2 together, knit 5, knit front and back, knit 1, turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have them all. So we're going to bind off 9. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we have 1 stitch left, and we're continuing in the same direction and picking up 7 purlwise. So we go into that first slip stitch, and then the next slip stitch, and then the next slip stitch, picking up purlwise. And we now have 8 stitches again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we start again for the next segment at row number 1. So with the yarn front, we slip 1, and because we have 8 stitches and we want 9, we're not going to do the decrease. So we just knit. And that's 5 stitches, and we're going to knit front and back and knit 1. And we're at the point, so we're not doing any shaping. We slip the first stitch, knit the rest. Turn. We're at the center, we're doing shaping. We only have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need 10, so we're going to increase 1 more, which means we're not going to do the decrease here. This is row 3, and we're slipping 1, we're knitting 6. There we go, 6, and then we're going to knit front and back in that one. And then knit the last one, and that is 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the number we were after. And then we're going into row 4, yarn front, slip a stitch, knit 9. Turn, row 5, we're at the center, so we're shaping. Yarn front, slip 1, yarn back, knit 2 together, knit 5, knit front and back into this one here, knit 1. And we repeat rows 4 and 5 to get 7 garter rows. 1, 2, 3. We need 4 more. Going from point to center, we don't shape, so just slip the first and knit the rest. Turn, There's the strand. We're at the center. We do the shaping, which means row 5. Yarn front, slip, yarn back, put two together as one, decrease. 1, 2, 3. Whoops. We knit 5, 4, 5, and then we knit front and back into the next stitch and knit 1. Because we decreased here and increased there, we have the same number of stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we repeat row 4 and 5 again. Yarn front, slip 1, knit 9, knit the rest. And we're at the center, so we do the shaping, which is row 5, slip 1, 2 together, knit to the last 2, there's the last 2, knit front and back in this one, and knit the final one. Turn, going from the point inward, so we're not doing any shaping. Just the first slipped and the rest knit. Turn, we're at the center, so we do the shaping. Yarn front for that slip, and then the 2 together, knit to the last 2, knit front and back, knit 1, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ridges, so we need 1 more. Going from the point inward, so we don't need to do any shaping. Turn around and we're at the strand, and that's the center, so we do the shaping. Yarn front, slip 1, yarn back, knit 2 together, knit to the last 2, knit front and back, knit 1, turn. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ridges. So we're going to bind off to 1 stitch left. We're still following the instructions. This is row 14, which says to bind off 9, and you'll be left with 1. There we go. So yarn front and pick up purlwise 7 stitches from under the slipped stitches. Turn and then slip the first stitch as usual. We're not doing a decrease. We're just doing the increase once we get to the second last one. There we go, knit front and back. This is the first row complete. Let's start the second row, which is no shaping. yarn front, slip one, yarn back, knit everything else. There we go. And then we'll do row 3. We're at the center, so we do the shaping. And we have 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need 10, so we'll skip the decrease here and just knit across to the last 2. This is row 3 on the pattern. There's my front and back and my final knit. And we turn, and we now have 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going from the point inward so we don't do any shaping. Skip the first, knit the rest. This is row 4 in our first repeat. So this is row 6, but that's repeating row 4 and 5. So and then we turn, and we're at the center, going outward. When we're at the center, we do the shaping, which means repeating row 5, slip 1, 2 together, knit all but the last 2. There we go, knit front and back in that one, knit 1, turn, and we're going from the point inward, so no shaping. Slip the first, knit the rest. Turn, and we're at the center, we're doing shaping, yarn forward, slip 1, yarn back, knit 2 together. This is row 5 being repeated, so we're knitting 5, knit front and back in the second last stitch, knit 1. Going from the point inward so we're not shaping. Slip 1, knit the rest. This is row 4 we're repeating. Turn, repeat row 5, which is from the center out, so we're shaping. Slip 1, 2 together, knit to the last 2. Knit front and back, knit 1. Turn. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ridges. We need 2 more. So we will repeat row 4 again, which is point inward, which means no shaping, which means slip the first and knit the rest. That's row 4 completed. Turn, and we're going to repeat row 5, which is from the center outward. When you're working from the center, you do the shaping. Slip 1, 2 together, knit to the last 2, knit front and back, knit 1, turn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need 1 more, so yarn forward, slip 1, yarn back, knit the rest. That's row 4 being repeated. There we go, that's row 4 done. We're doing row 5 next, which is yarn forward. We're going from the center out, so we're doing the shaping. So we yarn forward, slip the first, yarn back, knit 2 together, knit to the last 2, knit front and back in the second last stitch, knit 1, that's row 5 done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ridges, so we're binding off on this one, which is row 14. We have 1 left. I'm going to bring our yarn forward and pick up purlwise so that we have 8 stitches again. So here you'll notice that we have 4 of our segments, and we start the 5th the same way. I'll do row 1 here. Yarn forward, slip 1, yarn back, knit 5. We have 8 stitches and we need 10. This will make 9 here by increasing here. By the end of row 1 we have 9 stitches, and we turn, and because this is our 5th segment, we're going to join it up with the first row cast on. I'll show you here how it all lines up. So there's my center, my strand, my loop, my boop. This boop lines up there. We cast on here, work that one, bound off there, slipping these stitches here. So we have a nice selvaged edge which matches the cast or the bind off there. And then we picked up along this selvaged edge here and went this direction and bound off there, picked up here, bound off there, picked up here. We just finished our bind off and pick up and our first row. So now we're going to join the end of row 2 with one of the stitches from the cast on, and we're going to pluck that open once we get there. And we're going from the point inward, so we're not doing any shaping. So we slip the first stitch and knit the rest except for the very last one. I think I'm going to scroll my screen, my pattern. So there we've slipped that one, knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're going to slip this one knitwise. This is the end of row 2. I've slipped my first stitch, knit 7, and I join this one to the cast on edge using a slip, slip, knit 2 together method. But I'm modifying it because I've slipped the first one, I need to slip another one, so I'm going to pluck this open to be my stitch. See how that strand is vanishing as I pull it, where it's going in there? And here it shows where it holds the bottom of my cast on stitches. You see that I'm pulling out of this strand, or sorry, loop. I'm pulling out of this loop and pulling into that loop. I pull here, you can see where it holds the loops. So that's the loop I want to go into. So I'm going into it kind of knitwise and slipping it along with my slipped stitch there. And then I work that stitch and drop my slipped stitch over. And that's how I join. We'll do that again once we come back. This is row 3. We're at the center, so we're doing shaping. Yarn forward, slip 1, yarn back, knit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Knit front and back. Knit 1. And then we've got 10 stitches now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going into row 4, yarn forward, slip 1, yarn back, knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I join to the cast on edge using slip, slip, knit 2 together through the back loop. So I'm slipping this one knitwise, and I find the next stitch here. When I pull this, you can see, so we'll insert our needle and we'll work it and slip, drop the slipped stitch over it. And we turn, and we have our 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We don't need to do any shaping. And we're going, oh sorry, we do need to do shaping. We don't need to do any more increases. Yarn forward, slip 1, yarn back, knit 2 together. Knit 5, knit front and back in the next stitch for an increase, and knit 1. So we still have 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're going from the point inward, so there's no shaping on this row. Just the first slipped stitch, knit the rest. No, sorry. I'm joining, so I'm knitting 8. Knit 8 stitches, so there's the slip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 knit, and I slip this one knitwise, and I find the next loop here. Here's the bind on, cast on thread here. If I tug it a bit, I can see where it's coming out. That's my next loop. So I go in there. And I work that stitch, and I drop my slipped stitch over. And I turn around, and I do my shaping. This is row 5 being repeated. Yarn front, slip 1 yarn back, knit 2 together, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, knit front and back, knit 1. You can hear my dogs, I think they hear a siren. Yarn forward. Oh, sorry, this is the tip to the center. So I'm going to slip 1 yarn with the yarn forward, put the yarn back, and knit 8. No shaping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Slipping the last one knitwise. I find the next loop from the cast on strand, you can see that the cast on is holding that stitch there. So I've gone into it. I'm going to work it now and drop the slipped stitch over it. And I'm going from the center outward, so I'm doing shaping here. Yarn forward, slip 1, yarn back, knit 2 together. This is row 5 being repeated. And I knit to the last 2. Knit front and back, and knit 1. And I'm going to join with the next stitch here. And I don't do any shaping going from point to center. So I'm just going to slip my first stitch, knit 8 stitches. This is the repeat of row 4. That's 8 stitches, slip the final stitch knitwise, go into the cast on next one, knitwise, work that one, and drop the slipped stitch over. And going from center outward, I do my shaping. And there's my slip, there's my 2 together. And then I knit to the last 2. There's the last 2. I'm going to knit the second last one front and back, and knit the last one. This also will be 7 ridges. There's my chain there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need to do this one more time. This is a repeat of row 4. I'm going from point to center, so no shaping. Yarn forward, slip 1, yarn back, knit 8. And then I'm slipping the final stitch knitwise. Oh, I left that in, pull that out, and then the next one is right beside, right there. So I'm going in there. I'll pull this out now. I'm working that stitch I just picked up and dropping the slipped stitch over it. And I'm going from the center outward, so I do the shaping. My slip, my 2 together decrease. Oops, I snagged. There we go. And then I knit to the last 2. Knit front and back. Knit the last one, and that's my row 5 repeat. And this should be 7 now. There's my center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm binding off now. And here we're decreasing, knitting together, but it's going to be a little bit fancier than the previous one. This is row 14, where previously we were binding off 9. This one we're binding off 8. And in binding off 8, there's 8, and then we still have the one in the center that we slip knitwise, and then we find the final loop here. See how that goes into itself? it's a bit of a tangle. There's our loop, our boop loop, and if we pull it, you'll see that it's coming out of itself, and that's going to be extremely loose if we go into it. So rather than go into it, I'm going to undo the loop and pull it out over here. And in pulling it out, it will leave us with this kind of, it loops around but it turns in on itself. We're going to go in there and we're going to work that stitch and drop the center, the chain stitch, and drop the edge stitch over. So now we're left with the one, and we're going to graft this to the bottom of that. I'll show you. I'm just going to thread this onto my needle, and I'm going to come up my stitch, I don't need that anymore, and then I'm going to go around this, the first here, how that's chained. This is the very bottom one, the most intact one. So I'm going to go in there. This is a Kitchener graft, but with one stitch. I'm going to pull that so that that one draws to be the same size as the other stitches. And ease that into place and go down the stitch I came out of, my final stitch. And that joins it, joins the edge so that it's even all the way around. And there we go. I like to put a knot here, just so that these stitches here hold their shape more likely. It won't ease out or whatever. It'll hold its shape better. And the knot is basically invisible anyway. And then I weave this in wherever I feel like it goes. There's no magic on this part. If I feel like throwing in a back stitch while I'm weaving the end in, I throw in a back stitch. I go for about 1 centimeter or so, and then I weave the other end in. Oh, look, I didn't pull the strand through my needle properly. There we go. Good enough. And that's that. There's the star completed.